Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wizard Engineer. In today's video, we're going to talk about Pinia. We're going to learn what is Pinia is and how to use it. Let's dive right into it. Alright guys, what is Pinia? Pinia, it is a state management. It is like Redux. If you have some experience with React, you probably know what is Pinia because it allows to manage the state within an app. That is Pinia. Now, let's see how it works actually. Let's say you have an application that got 5 different pages and you got a pieces of data that you need to share between these pages. You're going to use Pinia in order to share this data to other pages. Pinia is going to act like a central data storage. Let's say you gather the user object and you need to pass it to these 5 pages. You're going to store first this data within the central data storage, which is Pinia, and then you're going to pass this data to these pages. And if this data it is get modified with one of the page that get access to this data, it is going to change within the Pinia store. And then other pages that get access to this data are going to get modified data. That's how Pinia works. It acts like a central data storage. Now, but also Pinia sparing us from prop drilling. Prop drilling, I can say it is a process where you need to pass data to a component. And then you have to travel through other components in order to reach the components that need the data. You can see right here on the image, we need to pass the data to the component Y. And we travel through the component A, and then we pass the data to the components, to the child of the component A, which is X, and then just pass the data to the child of the component X, which is Y. And that's what we call prop drilling. You can see on the image, in order to pass data to another component, we have to travel through another component. And that's what we call prop drilling. But with Pinia, we are not going to do dealing with this process because it is not good. We are going to use Pinia in order to share data between components immediately without doing prop drilling. Now, where are we right now throughout this Vue course? Right now, we are talking about the last video about Option API. In the next video, we're going to do an exercise that covers everything we have seen so far. And then we're going to jump to Composition API because so far we have learned Option API, how to do something within the Option API, and then we're going to move to TypeScript. We're going to learn some basics required in order to get started with Vue plus TypeScript, and then we're going to build our final project. It is going to be Vue plus TypeScript. We are going to cover some advanced topic within it. And available backends are going to be Node and Laravel. I've already said that in the previous video, and then we're gonna finish. Now let's go ahead and install Pinia. Alright guys, now let's go ahead and install Pinia. We're gonna go at pinia.vue.js.our website, and then you're gonna get into the getting started menu. You're going to see this command, npm install Pinia. You're gonna copy it within your command prompt, and then you're going to tap enter. If I get into my package.json file, you're going to notice that I've already installed Pinia. You can see it on the dependencies branch. And then the second thing we have to do, we have to create the Pinia instance within the main.js file. We're going to copy this code and get into main.js file and paste it right there. We're going to remove the app. And then we need to pass right here the Pinia instance. Right now we just added Pinia to Vue instance. Now the second thing we have to do is to create a store folder within the source directory. You can see we have within the source directory we have Vue's router. We are going to create another folder where we are going to store all our Pinia store. And then I'm going to create a folder right here, store. And then I'm going to move again at pinia.our website, and in order to copy a boilerplate of Pinia store, you can see right here we have a function, define store. We use this function in order to define a Pinia store. I'm going to copy first this one. Pinia has 2 options. This is the options API. But also we have the composition API that we're going to learn later on when we're going to start we're gonna start talking about Vue Composition API, because we're gonna do a refactoring of our Options API into Composition API. We're gonna learn also Composition API for Pinia. Now we're gonna go ahead and copy this boilerplate of this store right here. Use counter store. And then I'm gonna get into the store folder. I'm gonna say counter store. This is the name of our store, and then I'm gonna paste it right there. But also I need to copy something. I need to import something. This is the function that we need to import, define store. We need to copy it and get into the counter store.js and paste it right there. Guys, you can notice right here, I'm using this style. This is we call camel case format. If you need to create another store, for example, user store, you're going to do user store. This is a better conversion. Yeah, you can copy this style. If you need to create a customer store, you're going to do customer store. It is a better conversion, so that if you get into a store, you're going to narrate that this is a store. It allows to differentiate files within the store folder to other files. Now here we need to do something, guys. Now, yeah, you can notice right here, our Pinia store has three property: the state, the getters, and actions. The state property, it is like the data. You can try to take it like the data function that we use within the Views Options API to create a reactive property. I'm gonna say right here, I'm gonna add a comment. I'm gonna say this is data function for Options API. If we get into the admin, let me get into the home page, and you can see right here we got a data function that we use to create a reactive property. It is the same as within the Pinia store. You can see this is the data function, but here they call it a state. We use it to create a reactive property. But also we got getters. Getters are like computed property, computed. But also we got actions. Actions is method. If you get into the Options API, we have to define methods within the methods property. This is how you do it. If we need to create a reactive a computed property, we need to pass it right here, computed property, and then we just pass it right there. And it is the same for Pinia. You can see the state, it is used to create a reactive property. Getters are like computed property, are property that get access that track the reactive property, but also we got actions where we put our functions. Now let's use this use counter store within the home page. Guys, you can notice that within my project I got more folders: admin, off, and blog. I continue where we left up in previous video when we talked about Vue Router. You're going to get the link down in the description in a video where we talked about Vue Router. You're going to get it. Or you can go just on GitHub. You're going to tap, if I tap Git branch, you can notice right now we're in the Pinia lesson branch. You're going to clone the Vue Router lesson. You're going to go back for the video where I talked about Vue Router, and you're going to see the link down in description. And then you're going to clone the project so that we can be at the same line. And then I'm gonna do npm run dev in order to start our project. And now we need to get access to the count, reactive property, and the name. And then we need to get into the home. We are going to import the use counter store. Also, we need to import some helpers from the Pinia. We need to import the map state function, import map states, and also we need to import map actions. The map state function allows us to get access to reactive property, to the states within our Pinia, and also the map actions allow us to get access to this function right here. All our functions that are going to be located within the action objects are going to be available within the map actions. And before you continue, I'm going to explain you a little bit about computed property. Because in previous video we talked about computed property, I'd like again to talk to you about it so that you can pretty well understand what map state does. Now here, I'm gonna create a variable. I'm gonna say first name. And then I'm gonna create a second one. I'm gonna say last name. And then within the computed property, I'm going to create a function that is going to aggregate the first name and the last name in order to get a full name. And pass here first John, here Doe. And then here, I'm going to create full name. And what this function full name, it is going to do, this reactive property, this computed property full name is going to return and do first name, and then we are going to do plus the last name. It returns the first name and the last name so that we can get John Doe. If we call, we need to get access to this reactive property for this computed property full name. If we get into the browser on the home page, you're going to notice that we got John Doe. And we can achieve the same thing with function. We can copy this and give it another name. I'm gonna say here full name with an underscore, and the difference is a computed property track reactive property. I mean, you can see right here we just passed the full name here, and then we are going to get John Doe. And if we need to achieve the same thing with a function full name, we need to call the full name. We need to call this function. We need to call it in order to achieve the same thing. And that's the difference. I'm going to pass here a little definition. I'm going to say track reactive property. You have to know it. You're going to understand it little by little. Now within the computed property, it is where we are going to use the map state function in order to get access to the reactive property located within our Pinia store. We're gonna use and then we're gonna do map state, because the map state returns an object, and then we just cap it within the computed property. We just spread it right there by using spread operator. This is what we call spread operator. And then the second thing, we need to pass the name of the store we need to get access to, and then we need to pass an array which is going to be represented by property we have within the state objects. And then here I'm gonna pass here count and name. If I get into the browser and pass here count, and then I display the name and pass here name, I'm gonna put it within an h1, and then let me get into the browser. You can see we just got 0 and Eduardo, the creator of Pinia. This is the name. We just get access to the name. And if we get into our account store, within the actions object, we got one function we need to get access to. We are going to use the map actions. We're going to do again, we're going to spread it, map actions, and then we need to pass the use counter store, and then the actions that we want to hit. You can see right now actually we have one function increments, and then we are going to bind it to a button tag. We're going to use click, and then we just pass it increments. I'll say increment as the label. And in previous video we said that we can use the @ in order to pass an event, to create an event, or we can use the v on directive and then click. The @ it is a shortcut. And then if I get into the browser and click on increment button, you can see that we are incrementing our count property, and that's how we can get access to functions within the Pinia store. We just incrementing the count. Now, what we need to do, we are going to create an array of users, and then we are going to pass this array to 2 pages, because right now we got 2 pages. We got the home page and about page within the blog folder. We are going to create an array of users that we are going to pass to the home page and to the about page. Now, let me show you what I showed you on the slide. Guys, you can see on this slide that when we have data within a Pinia store, we have the possibility to pass this data to other pages. We are going to create now an array, and then we are going to pass it to the home page, and then we are going to pass it to the about page. And if we add an item from the home page within the array, this item it is going to be added within the about page. Now let's do it. Now let's create an array of users. It is going to hold objects, and we're going to pass it to property. The first one, it is going to be the name of the user. I'm going to pass here John Doe. Now let me format my page a little bit, and then we need to pass it the email. Pass here the email. It is going to be john@gmail.com. Yeah, right now we are going to pass only one. We are going to pass only one object, and later on we are going to add another object. And then we are going to create a function within the actions objects. The function it is going to add a user to this array. I'm gonna pass here add users, and then I'm gonna do this keyword to get access to the users array, like we did for Vue options API. We do this, we use the this keywords. It is the same here. And then we are going to push in another user. I'm gonna pass here the name. It is going to be Isaac. Email isaac@gmail.com. This is the user that we want to push in within the users array. Now we need to get access to the users property, but also to the add users function. We're gonna get into the home page, and then here I'm gonna pass here users, and then here on the map actions function, map actions helper, I'm gonna pass here add users. And then if we get into the browser, let me bound this function add users, and then I'm gonna say here add users to this bar as a label for this button. Then I'm gonna create a break tag. Yeah, and then within the break tag, I'm gonna pass an array of users because we already get access to this property. And if we move to the browser, you can see we just got an array which have a single user. Now we need to add a user. We just add a user. Now what we need to do is to get access also to this array of users within the about page. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna copy first this and move to the about page, and then we are going to create here a computed property, and then we're gonna use the map states helper. We're gonna spread it map state. We need to pass it the use counter store first, and then we are going to pass it an array because we need to get access to the users. You can see every time we try to add an item within the array, we are getting an autocomplete of property available within a store that we want to get access to. And then we need to display this data. I'm gonna wrap this first within a div tag, and then I'm gonna add right here a break tag to break tag, and then I'm gonna pass in an h3 and an h4, and then I'm gonna display an array of users. And if we get into the browser, let us refresh again. You're going to notice we got an array which has a single user. And if I click add users, you can notice that if we get into the about page, we just got an array with 2 users. And that's what I've showed you on the image. You can take Pinia as a synthro data storage that allows to share data between pages. It is there like a synthro data storage. If we modify a data from another page that get access to this data, it is going to change to another page that has access to this data. You can see if I add another user, we go into the about page, you're going to notice right now our array, it has 3 users. and so on. And that's how Pinia works. Now I've prepared something for you guys because we are going to interact with the backend. It is going to be an exercise so that you're going to understand how you can do API requests within the Pinia store. We are going to do a little exercise. I'm gonna shut down first my server. I'm gonna get into this backend node exercise. I'm gonna put the link down in description for this project. I'm gonna tap npm run starts. It is a Node.js server. Let me do this because I need to start it. I'm gonna get into my app, cd view course, and then I'm gonna do npm run dev in order to run our Vue.js projects. And we need to start also the nodes backend. That's npm start. Our backend has two endpoints. The first one is, let me copy the URL of the backend. Yeah, the first endpoint returns an array of users. If I tap /users, we are getting an array of users, you can see. And the second endpoint returns a single user. If I tap user/4, which is the ID, it is returning a single user with ID 4. If I tap here 1, we are going to get a user with ID 1. That's we are going to interact with these two endpoints. And this is the project. I've already put it on GitHub. You're going to clone it. And the first thing you're going to do is npm install commands and then npm runs start in order to start the server. Now we're gonna interact with this backend. Now we are going to display right here on this homepage the list of users, and then we are going to click on the user, and then we are going to display details of the user. If we see here, we got an array of users. It is a bunch of properties: name, username, email, address. Within the address, we got also geo and other stuff, guys. We need to get access to this. Now we're gonna get into the home page, and we're going to create. I'm gonna delete all this stuff, and I'm gonna create right here. I'm gonna say here I'm gonna use the class of container, and then I'm gonna pass here a class of row, and then with this row we are going to have three column. Call class core medium 4. I'm gonna say at the left I'm gonna pass medium 3, and within the middle I'm going to put our users. I'm gonna display all my users within a car, and at the left I'm gonna pass in the core of medium 5. Let me pass here medium 5, and then we are going to, within the second column, we are going to pass in a card. I'm gonna say class car, and then div I'm gonna say class car header. Here I'm gonna pass here the name. I'm gonna pass here name of the user. I'm gonna say John Doe, and then within the car body I'm gonna pass the details of the user. Say class car body. I'm not displaying only the email. I'm gonna pass here first a placeholder at gmail.com, and then I'm gonna pass the second item that I need to get access to. It is going to be, let me see, it is going to be the address. Let me say the phone, the telephone, because I'm not going to display all property. I need to show you how to interact just with this endpoint. This is the telephone. We're gonna pass right here the telephone. Now let's see what we get in browser. You can see we just got a little car. The name, it is John Doe, and the email. But also I need to add a button right here within the car folder. I'm gonna create another class folder. I'm gonna put in a button. When a user is going to click on this button, it is going to see the details of the user. See details, and then I'm gonna pass here the class of btn outline primary, and then I'm gonna add a little space Yeah, I'm gonna add a little space, and then you're going to notice that we are getting a card. We're getting a card. Now we need to display a list of users. Now we already talked about components. I'm gonna create a component. Right here, you're going to see this is a component. This car, it is a component. I'm gonna create a component within the components folder. Right here, I'm gonna create a component. If you doesn't have any idea about components, I invite you to go check it out, the video where I talked about components. And then here, I'm gonna pass here, I'm gonna say user car, I'm gonna say user list, the view, and then I'm gonna pass in the template tag and paste my car right here. And then I need to import these components within the home page. And then I'm gonna do this import user list from components. We just get it, and then we need to pass it to the components objects, yeah, in order to register our component so that we can be able to use it. We're gonna pass here, I'm gonna delete the car right here, and then I'm gonna pass the user list, and you can see that we just display, we still get access to our car. And also what we are going to pass it, our user list component, it is going to take an array of users as a prop. I'm gonna do pass here script, and then I'm gonna say within it we are going to export defaults. I'm gonna pass it the props property. It takes an array, and then I'm gonna say here users. And then let me remove this. And here I'm gonna use the v-for directive in order to loop through this array of users. I'm gonna say user in users. If you doesn't have any knowledge about v-for directive, go check it out, the video where I talked about the list rendering. And then I'm gonna pass here the key, and I'm gonna do user.id, because if we go to our API, you can see we have here an ID. We need also to display the name. I'm gonna pass here user.name, and here let me check again on the API name, and then the email, and also we need to eat the telephone, the phone, it is here phone. And I do here first the email, here user.email, and also we need to eat the user.phone, and that's pretty much it. And then we need to go back within the home page, and for the home page we are going to simulate. We are going to pass here, I'm going to remove the first name and last name property. I'm going to pass here first an array of users. I'm going to copy some details. Let me copy this object first, and then I'm going to store it. I'm going to create another store. You can see the first store right here that we actually have. It is the counter store. I'm going to create another store. I'm going to copy this stuff because we are not going to work in. I've used it to show you first what is Pinia. I'm going to create another store. Copy. I'm going to copy within the user store. And right now we are going to modify it. We are going to say this is going to be use the user store. I'm going to pass here the user, and we are going to pass in an array of users. I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to pass here an array of users, and then I'm going to remove the count and the name. But also you can see we got the getters. Right now we are not going to use the double counts. And also I'm going to remove these two functions, but the function that I'm going to create within the options object, it is going to be fetch users. It is going to be an asynchronous function. I'm going to comment this first. Now I need to format this store. Now we need to get access to these users. We are going to import the user store within the home page. Now let's import the user store. We're gonna do import use user store from the store folder, And if we go down, you can notice within the computed object, actually we have only one map state function. And then we need to create another function for another map state for the use user store, and then we're gonna pass it to it. And then we need to remove the count and the name property because it doesn't have these properties within the use user store. We need to remove them, and keep the users array. And that's how it works, guys. If you have 5 different stores within your store folder, you need to create 5 map states for each one, and as well as for the map actions. Now we need to remove the first map state because we are not going to use it anymore. And then let's try to see what we get in a browser. And then if we get into the browser, you can see we are getting an array of users. Now we need to iterate through it because we are going to pass it to this user list property. I'm going to pass it users, and then I'm going to pass it the users property that we get in Pinia, which is populated by data. And then if we get into the browser, you can see we just get Lena Graham, and the email sincere@april. This is the name that we get from the user store. You can see Lena, and the email sincere@april.biz. This is the name and the telephone. We just display the data. If I change here the name by Isaac Ijembo, you're going to see that it changed too. Here we got, if I refresh again, we got Isaac Ijembo. This is the data. Yeah. Now we need to replace this data by saver data. We're going to use fetch API in order to interact with our saver. And then we're going to get into the use store.js. You can see right now, we are going to delete this data that we just passed to this users array. And then right here, I'm going to say for this fetch function, it is going to be an asynchronous function. And then I'm going to delete this. I'm going to say const response. We're going to await it. And then we're going to use fetch. And then we are going to pass it the URL because we need to eat the users. Right now, we are going to display an array of users. We're going to eat this endpoint. We're going to pass here the URL. And then we need to pass it another option. Here we are going to pass here the headers. We are going to do content type. It is going to be application/JSON. This is the data that we want to get. And also we need to pass it the method. It is going to be get. And also we need to await for the data. We are going to do const.data that awaits res.json. Now let's try to see if we get data. Let me try to see. Yeah, let's try to console this. We're going to do console.log data. Now let's try to eat this fetch users function within the home page. And right now I'm gonna pass here, I'm gonna comment this. I'm gonna comment the use count store for, I'm gonna comment this line for the use count store. You can see we just comment it. And then let me do this. Let me do this, and then I'm gonna copy it. Let me copy it. And I'm going to use the use user store. I'm gonna pass it to this function, to these map actions. And then the function that we got within the use user store, it is fetch users. Now we need to, I'm gonna create a button in order to check if it works. I'm gonna create a button right here to see that if we are getting data. Let's say click fetch users, and I'll say fetch users, and see if we are going to get the data within the console. Everything it is okay. Now let's check. We are going to click on the fetch user button. Let me click on it. I'm gonna refresh first to see if it doesn't have any error. And then you can see our card disappear because we doesn't have data. It doesn't have data. Our array, it is blank. This array within the user store, this array, it is blank, because right here we need to have data in order to iterate through this array. And here I'm gonna add something in order to show you if it doesn't get data. We're going to add something. I'm gonna wrap it first. I'm gonna do this. We create a div. Let me create a div right here, and then I'll say vif users.length, it is blank, it is equal to 0, and then we are going to display this div. We're going to say if it is 0, true, and then we're going to say no data found. And you're going to notice that right now we are getting no data found. Let me refresh again. We are getting no data found. This is the data. I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna add a little style right here. Background color, it is going to be to, let's say, let me pass here anti-quake white. This is the color. You can see this is the color. You can see no data found. And then let's try to click on the fetch users. You can see when I click on fetch users, we got an array of users within the console. And then I need to pass it. I'm not getting to the user store. I'm not pass this data. The data variable, it is represented by an array of users. I'm not do this keyword to get access to this property, to this users array, and then I'm gonna pass its data. That's pretty much it, guys. Let me try it again. Let me refresh and click on fetch users. Yeah, you can see we just display an array of users. We got Lena, Ervin, Howell, and you can see we just display an array of users. And right now I'm gonna call this function. When we are going to load the home page, we are going to do this on mounted. When this component it is going to be mounted to the DOM, I'm gonna do mounted. I'm gonna pass it to the mount function, mounted, and then I'm gonna do because it is an asynchronous function. I'll pass here a sync in order to await for the results. I'm gonna pass here await, and then this fetch users function, we're going to await that we got data because it is a promise. And now we are going to format. We are going to do this in order to display an array of users. Right now I'm gonna pass here. I'm gonna say here we are going to pass it is going to be the column. The second column it is going to be of column medium A. We're going to pass here 2 and here 2, and then I'm gonna get into the user components. I'm gonna copy all this stuff. I'm gonna wrap it in the div class, say class row, and then I'm gonna pass in right there. I'm gonna say this. We are going to pass the for loop within a column. This column medium 4, and then we're gonna copy this code within the column medium 4, and then right here I'm gonna pass this div which display if it doesn't have any users, no data found. I'm pass it out of the column medium 4, and then the loop, I'm gonna pass the for loop directive to the column medium 4. They're going to create copies of this column medium 4. Guys, you can just follow. I'm gonna put the code on GitHub and the link down in description. Just follow what I'm doing, and then you're going to copy the code and see how it works. And then I'm gonna get into the browser and refresh. Yeah, you can see we just display an array of users. You can see, you can see just Lena. Let me do this so that it can be a bit clean. btn small to have a small size of a button. And then here for the email, I pass it to a link tag. I'm gonna do here a link tag, and then I need to pass it an href, and then I pass it. You can see it just pass. And guys, in previous video we talked about how we can bound a reactive property to an HTML attribute. We talked about it, and then we can use the vbound, or the shortcut semicolon, and then I'm gonna pass in the user email, and then here I'm gonna add here plus and do mail to. So that's if we click on the user email, we're going to open Gmail. You can see right now we are opening Gmail. You can see if I click on my right now I doesn't have a connection. You can see this little box, this little window. Yeah, and also we can use vbound directive, or we can use only the shortcuts of a semicolon, and then I'm gonna add it again. It is the same, and we just display an array of users. Now also we need to add the width of our cards so that they can be well displayed, because right now you can see they are so close together. I'm gonna reduce the column to the left. I'm gonna pass it 1, and to the right 1, and in the middle I'm gonna pass here 10, so that our cards are going to get a better space. And you can see now we need to interact with a second endpoint. You can see our backend has 2 endpoints. The first one display an array of users that we just already interact with. We just display the list of users. Now we need to interact with a second endpoint. If we tap /1, we are going to display a single user. If I pass here 3, we just display the user with ID 3. That's what we need to do right now. And I'm gonna create another page within the blog folder. I'm gonna name it. I'm gonna say user. Let me say user detail page, and then I'm gonna pass in template tag, and then I'm gonna pass in a div tag. It is going to have a class of container, and I'm gonna pass in the row, class row, and then I'm passing also 3 columns. A bootstrap grid has a column of 12 in horizontal, and then right here I'm gonna pass here column medium 2, and the second column it is going to be column medium. I'm gonna pass here medium 6. I'm gonna change here. It is going to be 3, and here 3, and then we need to pass in within the second column. We need to pass in a car where we are going to display the details of the user. I'm gonna say class car and div passing class car header, and then user details as the title, and then we need to pass also the and then we need to pass also the car, the class of car body, and then Now we need to import this page within the router. Now let's get into the index.js file within the router folder, and then we are going to import the user details page, and we are going to do this. We are going to copy this line, and then we need to import the user detail page file, and then here we need to pass here the path. It is going to be user/user ID. We are going to learn how to get access to this parameter. Now we need to go back within the user page, within the user detail page, and then we are going to create a script. Here we need to pass here a script, and then right now we are going to pass in mounted. I'm going to show you how we can get access to this ID, because right now if I type this, let me do this first, console.log mounted, and then let us get into the browser, and we are going to do /user1. You can see we just display this page. We land on this page, and we have user car where we are going to display the user details. And then if you get into the console tab, we got mounted in the console. Now we need to get access to this ID right here. We are going to do this. We are going to do this that router. We hit the root, this that's root, $root, and then params, and then we need to hit the user ID like we name it right here. You can see we just pass here. Here we got the path, and then here we have the parameter. It is user ID. We need to hit this user ID parameter. If we pass here ID within the router, if we pass here ID, we are going to pass here to ID. You see, if we get into the browser, you're going to notice that we are going to console the ID. We are getting 1. If I pass here 2, we are getting 2. And then I'm gonna pass here user ID. I'm gonna pass here user ID. I don't want ID. And here I'm gonna do this. It is going to be the user ID. Now the next thing we have to do is to get into the user store. And then within the user store, we are going to create another function. We are going to copy this. This function, it is going to fetch a single user. Fetch single user. And then we are going to pass /ID because we need to hit the second endpoint. We're going to pass it right here. Let me remove this. We're going to pass in an ID. I'm going to pass here template literal. And then I'm going to copy the link, the URL. And then right here, I'm going to do / pass an expression, the expression, and we are going to pass in an ID. Yeah, this is the ID when we are going to call this fetch single user. And how are we going to get the ID? When we are going to click on the user, let me show you. When we are going to click on this button, we are going to get access to the ID of the user, and then we are going to move to this page. That's what we need to do. And then we need to go within the home page. And then you can see we have the user list components. The user list is right here. We are going to add in a function. We're going to bind in an event. We need to emit an event when we click on this button, see details. And we have another object. We're going to add emit, and then we are going to pass it the function that we want to emit when we click on the see details button. And then we are going to see details. This is the name of the function. And then we are going to do this. We're going to pass here click, and then $emit, and then the name of the function that we want to emit. But also we need to pass it a second parameter. It is user.id. If you're not familiar about how to emit an event from a component, you can go check it out, the video where I talked about components. Now here you can see when I'm going to emit this function, I'm gonna get access to this ID. I'm gonna get into the home page, and then I'm gonna create a function right here. Under this function, I'm gonna say see details. Say here see details, and then I'll pass it an ID. I'm gonna name it user ID, and then I'm gonna do console. I'm gonna do console.log, and then here user ID to see if I'm going to display the ID. And then I need to bound this function to the user list component and pass it right here. I'm gonna do function see detail, and then let me name it see user detail. See user, it is see user details, and then I need to change also within the emit array. And then I get into the home page and pass here see user details, change right within the functions, change here, and let's try to see if we are going to get the ID. Let us get into the console tab, and then when I click on see button, see details, we are getting an ID. Yeah, we are getting an ID for the second user, and for the third user, we are getting an ID, and so on. Now we need to call another function. As you can see within the user store, we have two functions. The second function, it is fetch single user. It fetch the data of a single user, and then it passes it to we need to create also another reactive property, an object, and then we are going to pass this data to this user object right here. We forgot to do this, and then we just pass it the data, because the data right here returns data of a single user. Because when we hit this endpoint, we are going to return an array of a single user. It is returning an array of a single user, and then we are going to do this. We are going to do this if we are going to do if data dot length greater than 1. Because it is returning an array, we are going to pass it. You can see it is returning an array. We are going to pass it these objects, and then we are going to do this. We are going to do this that user that data. We need to get access to the first item if it is greater than if the array it is greater than 0. We are going to pass it the items that is within the array, because if we pass an ID which doesn't exist, let me pass this, we are getting an empty array. Else, we are going to do this. Else, if the array doesn't have anything within it, we are going to do anything. Yeah, we're going to do anything. Now we need to call this fetch single user function. We're gonna get into the home page, and right here within this array, I'm gonna pass the second function, fetch single user, and then right here within the C user details, we need to call it. We are going to make this function asynchronous, and then we are going to pass here a wait. Then we are going to do fetch single user. We are going to pass it this user ID, and also we need to move to this page to user/1. We need to move to this page, and then we are going to do this. We are going to do this $router.push, and then we are going to move to this page. When we are going to click on see user details, we are going to move to this page. Now let us get back to the home page. I'm gonna do this, and then we're on the home page. When I click on see details, we just move to the user/ID. Now we need to get access to this data, because right now when we click on fetch single user, we are getting the details of a single user. Now if we get into the user detail page, and then we need to import. We are going to import the user store. Yeah, we just import it, but also we need to import helper function from Pinia. Import map state in order to get access to the property. I'm gonna do from Pinia right here, and then I'm gonna create a computed property, and then I'm gonna spread the map states, and then I need to pass here user store, and then I need to pass it the data, the property that we want to get access to. It is the user, the single user, and then if we pass it to the car body, you're going to get it. You're going to get the user, and then let us get into the browser and see we are getting an empty array. We're getting an empty array, and what we are going to do is we are going to get into the home page. Now let's copy this code, this fetch single user. We are going to put it within the user detail page, and then we are going to remove this async keyword, because we need to call this function fetch single user when we just land on this user detail page. We are going to pass it to the mounted, and then we are going to do async right here. And then right here, we need to pass right here this ID that we got within the URL. We are going to pass it. we're going to do const user ID, and then we are going to pass it. And then if we go out within the home page, we're going to see that when we click on user details function, we are going to move to the user page with the ID of the user. And then when we get into the user detail page, we are going to pass this function. We are going to call this function. And to do that, we are going to also to import map actions from Pinia, and then we are going to pass it. We're going to create another object, and then we need to do map actions, and then we are going to pass it the store user store, and then we need to pass it this function that we need to get access to. And then let's try to format our page, and let us get into the browser and see if we are going to display the user right here. And yeah, you can see we just display the user. If I change again right here, if I change the ID, I pass here 2, you're going to notice that we just load the user with ID 2. We just display the details of the user. Now we are going to do this. We are going to create a p tag within the car body. We're going to say username, and then we're going to do this. We're going to do this user.name, and we're going to display other details. User.email, here email, and then let us see, just display the username. Let me see other details of the user. Let me go here and see. We got also the address. Let us display the website and the address. And then here I'm gonna pass it within a link tag. Pass a link tag. Yeah, like this, the email, but also I need to display also the website. Here I need to band here. I'm gonna do this mail to, and then display the email class, use that email. And then I need also to display the address of the user. Use that address that optional chaining. I'm using optional chaining in order to hit the streets. I'm going to display the streets, and then you're going to do the rest yourself. I'm going to display the streets, but also need to display the website. And then let me display the website, and for the rest you're going to do it yourself. Website, I'm gonna put the code of this video on GitHub and do website. Now let's try to see if we got data here. I'm gonna pass here the website. Let's try to see. Refresh again. You can see we just display the username, Howell, the email, address, and the website. This is the website, but also we can get access to other details because our user objects has all these details right here. If we pass, you can see right here, if I pass 4, I'm just getting Patricia, and if I pass right here 4, I'm getting Patricia right here. We're getting here Patricia, and if I go to the home page, I'm gonna look for Patricia. You can see right here we got Patricia. I'm gonna click on this. We just got Patricia. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna click on this name, Chelsea, and then I'm gonna click on this. We just display the details. I'm gonna hit another user, which is Clementina. This is the last user, Clementina. You can see it right here, guys. I'm gonna click again on this user. You can see we just display the details of this user. And that's pretty much it, guys, for this video. In the next video, we are going to do another exercise. We are going to do an exercise that covers everything we have seen so far in order to cement this knowledge into your head. We're going to do another exercise. And thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.